Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I'm here with Jason. It's Velie, correct?
Velie.
Jason Velie. I'm your host, John Harker. I'm here with Jason Velie. And what we're going to talk about today is kind of going from zero to financial freedom, flipping manufactured homes. Remember, guys, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, and really all real estate entrepreneurs 2 to 5x your business by providing the tools and resources to build a business you've always wanted and to live the life you always wanted. So, Jason, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm super interested to talk about your journey. We talked a little bit off camera, but before we get into all that and get into the weeds of things, tell our audience a little bit about you, kind of where you came from, how you got into real estate, and those type of things.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so like you said, my name's Jason. I'm in the Wilmington, North Carolina market, so southeastern NC by the beach. I've got a wife of 12 years, and we have 5 children so far. So life is crazy.
So far, I mean, is there like plans down the road for more?
Maybe the door's not completely closed, but
right on.
Not rushing anything at the moment. But so my background is in finance. I went to school for finance. I became a licensed financial advisor for a short time. Then I went to work with institutional trust funds as a trust officer. And while I was working in trust, I started to get more serious about the idea of real estate. And at first, truthfully, I thought I would just get rich the slow, boring way with real estate, where you save up $10,000, $20,000 to put as a down payment on a cheap rental, and then you wait 3, 5, 6, 7 more years to save up another 10 or 20,000, and then buy another rental, and still work the W-2 until retirement age, and then maybe when I'm retired, I'll have 20 or 30 paid off rentals. That was the initial thought.
Sure.
But then, right when I was buying my first rental property, somebody introduced me at a friend's wedding. Some random guy, I don't even remember who he was, introduced me to the Bigger Pockets podcast. And I started listening to that and just became addicted to learning. And the biggest thing to me was, the biggest light bulb moment was learning about hard money and private money. And I was just like, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that all I have to do is go out and find a good enough deal and somebody out there will loan me 100% of the purchase and rehab? That's nuts.
Yep.
And so I was crazy enough to try it, and I found my first deal, which was a double wide on land in my hometown. Okay. And I used a hard money lender. Even though I had no money, I had no experience. The only thing I had going for me really was that I had decent income history and decent credit score. That's about it. But I found a hard money lender that was willing to lend me 100% of the purchase and the rehab, even though I had no experience, even though it was a manufactured home, because most don't touch manufactured homes.
Right.
And so to get the deal closed, I had to bring about $8,000 worth of points and closing costs to the table. I didn't have $8,000. I literally used Venmo in a way to do a cash advance on a credit card so I could get that deal closed. And then I got the handyman that was doing, it was only a $10,000 rehab.
So it wasn't like a full take it down gut job.
No, super simple. And the handyman lived in my neighborhood. He knew me and trusted me. So he knew how draw schedules worked. He knew that that lender wasn't going to give me the 10 grand up front, that they would only give it to me after the job was done. So he agreed not to get paid until we finished. So I bought all the materials on a credit card. And then when we got the 10 grand from the lender after the rehab was done, I paid off the materials from the credit card and then paid him his money for the labor. And then we got it listed.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Then I ended up netting a little over 26,000 on that first flip. And
Wow.
that was even after, because that was when COVID started. We listed it in January of 2020. So the contract fell through when we went to sell it 2 different times, almost fell through a third time. So even though the rehab only took 10 days, we held it for a total of 5.5 months. And even with all of that and those troubles, still made that much money on it. And so that was kind of proof of concept for me.
Yeah.
And when I started to try to find more flips and keep going down that route.
Got it. Okay, so you're in finance. You're a numbers nerd, I think you said on here, self-proclaimed somewhere. Yeah,
Yep.
nerd for numbers. So you're in finances, and all of a sudden you listen to this podcast, right? And you're like, boom, light bulb, right?
Yes, sir.
How did you go out and find this first flip? Like, how did you find this first manufactured home?
Yeah, no, great question. Truthfully, I got incredibly lucky. So my wife and I, we would walk every evening with the kids in the neighborhood, and because we lived in that same neighborhood, and there was this one house that I saw that I knew was vacant. The mailbox was taped closed. The grass was overgrown. There was an abandoned vehicle in the driveway. So I took a picture of it and I posted it in our neighborhood Facebook group. And I said, hey, does anybody know who owns this property? I've tried to find their info and skip trace them. I can't get a hold of the owner. I'd really love to see if they'd be willing to sell it. Well, nobody gave me the answer to that question. But because I put in that work to ask, somebody else saw that post that was in the neighborhood and messaged me privately and said, hey, we're about to move out of our house on the next street over and move in with my mother-in-law who's legally blind and needs help, and we won't be able to afford both mortgages. Would you be interested in buying ours? And then I just asked, sure, do you know how much you want for it? And they gave out a number that was low enough that I knew that, okay, this sounds like a great deal. And so then we went and looked at it and negotiated the price and got it done from there. But truth be told, I had no idea how I was going to fund it when I first got it under contract. And that's a big takeaway that I love to share with new people, is that you don't need to get so caught up in the weeds on every single step of the process and knowing exactly how you're going to do everything. Just go and take action and find a deal. If you find a deal that's actually a deal, finding the money for it will be the easiest part of the whole process.
Well, let's talk about that, right? You're new, right? You haven't done a deal before this, and this was, I don't know if you've studied manufactured homes before this, but how did you know how to underwrite it properly, and how did you know it was a good deal?
Yeah, so I knew instantly how much it was worth, the ARV, the after repair value, because I lived in that neighborhood. So I knew those values without even really needing to check comps. So I knew that this one would be worth around 120 whenever we sold it. And so I was basically just using the 70% rule numbers that I had been told. So I took the 120 times 0.7, and then I subtracted 10,000 for repairs. And I knew that number was my, maximum allowable offer. But I ended up getting it cheaper than that because they threw out the low number first. They threw out a number at 65, which was below 70% rule numbers. And then I was able to further negotiate to 60. So I ended up buying it for 60, putting 10 into it, and then selling it for, I think we sold it for 125, but with 5,000 concessions.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you're using the 70% rule, which for some of our people didn't know, it's 70% minus repairs. Did you include your assignment fee on that as well? Like minus your fee also before you came to that MAO?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
There's no assignment fee.
Oh,
I-
you just
Yeah, I was
you're
direct
buying
to the
it.
seller,
Okay.
and I bought it.
That's
Yep.
right. That's right. Got it. Okay, cool. So you did this one. Your juices are pumped. Yeah, you got money that came in. Got a nice little profit. What's your next step? What do you do next?
Yeah, so next is the unglorious part because it took me probably 8 months to find my next deal. It was so hard for me to find a deal, and I think I was spoiled because of how quickly I did find the first flip that I thought it was going to be just as easy or happen just as fast. And
Yeah.
then I do that second deal, and it was incredibly stressful because I trusted somebody else to be a project manager, and he horrendously over rehabbed the property and basically doubled an already big budget. And we ended up doing okay and making a little bit because we listed it because of how high end he did all the finishes and stuff. We listed it way higher than comps, which to me I don't like to do. That's incredibly risky and speculative in my opinion. We don't know if it's going to appraise. But thankfully, we got it done. At first, it didn't appraise, but the buyers wanted it so bad that they went to a different lender, changed lenders, and got a new appraisal done. And the second appraisal came back where we needed it, thankfully. So it's ironic because after that one, I told my wife after how stressful it was, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna flip any more houses after this. I think I'll just stick to rentals. And then the third deal probably took another 6 months after that to find that one, and it went okay. And then it was really once I got to around deal 4, 5, and 6 that things started clicking. I started having credibility with wholesalers that would bring me deals, and my own marketing channels. I started figuring out what works for me, what doesn't. I started working out, what lenders would work for me and what contractors I worked well with. So it was really after doing a handful of deals that some of those aspects started getting easier.
Got it. Well, let's go back and talk about kind of those first couple deals, because a lot of folks, you do, like you said, you got lucky on that first deal, and then you kind of had to embrace the suck. So tell us some of the mistakes or challenges or things that you had from deal 1 to deal 2 to deal 5 when you were getting started that might be able to help some of our folks avoid.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say deal 2 is the biggest example of mistakes, is that I gave that project manager person way too much control. I gave him way too much authority to be able to give the contractor permission to do some of those things. And it would just get to the point where it's like, oh, well, we already redid this part and this part really nice. We really can't leave this, and we got to do that. And so, I'd say, in hindsight, if I were to do that rehab now, I would do it completely differently. I would not have that project manager, of course, but I would also have a pretty strict rehab budget, broken down item by item, and I'd have my contractor that I work with regularly that's able to do it within that budget. I would tell him to make sure he sticks to that budget. And if that means that something has to be cut out along the way or something else pops up, just let us know and we'll figure it out. Because the safe way to do this is not by over rehabbing and trying to make some HGTV quality product and then listing it way over comps. The safe way to do it is to check your comps, know what it's going to sell for, and maybe even assume a slightly lower ARV than comps if you want to be safe. And especially the way the market is right now, maybe take 10 or 15 grand off of that resale price that you're assuming. And when you're starting, go ahead and assume the rehab is going to cost you 20% more than you think it will. Yeah. And assume the job's going to take you twice as long as you think it will. Because they often do until you've done a lot. And I mean, I'm saying dozens of them.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
It's really hard to really drill down on a realistic time frame and budget, if that makes sense.
That's just because all the stuff that comes up, right?
Right. The stuff that comes up, and also just not being very clear, setting expectations on the front end with the contractors and stuff. Because, I mean, like I said, I take full responsibility for what happened with that deal with that project manager because I didn't have enough forethought to be very frank with him up front that, hey, this is the budget. This is all that we can spend. What exactly are we doing? What are we not doing? And if it looks like we might go a penny over that, come talk to me first and let's figure out if it's really going to be worth it or not.
Yeah. Now that makes sense. So you're on deal 5, 6, whatever. What's your focus? Because I know we talked about like manufactured homes. I know you did single families. So at this point, once you're kind of getting your groove going, I mean, are you doing more of one than the other?
Yeah, I would say, these days we're probably, maybe 50 to 60% of our flips are manufactured homes. The rest are stick built. When I initially started, it probably was a little more heavy on manufacturers, maybe 75%. And, there's a few reasons for that. One is most local investors, more so then than now, were afraid to touch them. They either, some of them have been in the game for a while and they're used to these things only being worth $60,000, $70,000 with the land, and they don't think there's any money to be made there. But now those things are worth $200, $250, $280, so there's plenty of room to make money on them now. But also, what I found is a lot of experienced house flippers just have some assumption, I don't know where it comes from, that if they flip a manufactured home, when they go to resell it, that it won't qualify for financing for the end buyer. And that's just not the case. If it's on a permanent foundation, deeded with the land as real property, it can qualify as long as the buyer's buying it as their primary residence. Yep. It can qualify for FHA, VA, conventional. And here, I think in May of 2025, actually, even USDA is going to start funding manufactured homes as long as they're 2006 or newer. Previously, I think they only did them if they were new construction, but that's about to change and add some more buyers to that retail pool, if you will.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. Another part is just credibility and reputation. Once I flipped a couple of them, people at the local meetups started calling me the Trailer King for some reason, and so then people start talking about it, and then anytime somebody comes across a trailer deal, they're like, oh, you should take that to Jason. You should go, so then you just get word of mouth deals from agents or wholesalers, and it just starts to snowball.
Well, and I want to focus on that for a quick second. I mean, especially the niche part, right? When you are a master at something, people come to you for it. What are some of the pros and cons of flipping manufactured versus traditional single family?
The biggest pro is the lack of competition. The fact that there are more deals out there. And now this isn't true in every market, because there are plenty of markets that have almost no manufactured homes at all. And I feel bad for those folks, but most markets have plenty of them. Sure. And so that's the number one thing, because when there's less competition, it means you can get more deals and usually higher margin deals as well. So that's number one. Number two, they're easy to work on. They're very simple. A lot of flippers and contractors are nervous about them at first. They think that they're going to be tricky to work on, but in my opinion, they're way easier. They're so simple. I can have a licensed plumber replumb an entire double wide permitted for about $4,000. How much would that cost on a stick built house? It's just because
$4,000.
Right. It's just because they're on, usually big crawl spaces. They're very easy to work on. There's not that much to them.
Yeah. And a lot of these newer ones are super well built too.
Yeah.
What are some trends that you're seeing right now, and whether it's single family, whether it's in manufactured or whatever it might be? Kind of, what are some trends you think you're seeing in the business or the industry right now?
Nothing in particular other than just how the market as a whole is doing, and we have a, historically speaking, pretty hot market here. Wilmington has the last several years ranked number one for those studies that moving companies do when they tell the percentage of inbound versus outbound moves. Wilmington, North Carolina, even though we're a pretty small, like under 500,000 total MSA, we've been ranked number one in the entire country for the highest percentage of inbound moves for several years.
Wow.
And so there's plenty of growth, but even in our market, even though we're probably a little bit, in a hotter market than other areas, the market to sell properties the last year, as with most places, has been ice cold. It has been very difficult. Luckily, we've seen some increase in activity in the last 2 months or so, a little bit more showings, a few more offers and contracts. Overall, it's still pretty slow, although rates have started to come down a little bit. We are starting to get into spring. So I'm really hoping between those two things, if rates keep coming down and as we get into spring, that some of these others that we've been sitting on for a little while trying to get sold will hopefully get some traction.
Yeah, and I think that's a consensus all around the country. I know a lot of our folks, a lot of our group are the same way. Like, they got so much out there just waiting for the good time to sell. Tell us about your team. What does your team look like? How are you finding your deals? Volume you're doing, those type of things.
Yeah, so right now it's me running the company, and I have my dad working for me as a full-time project manager,
Cool.
and I have a young former car salesman that is my full-time acquisitions manager. I'm also in the process of hiring a full-time virtual assistant that can help me with some of the transaction coordination on my purchases and some of the other, just data entry, bookkeeping, expense tracking kind of stuff. But so basically, I pay for a bunch of online marketing, social media ads, PPC, SEO, etc.
Yeah.
And when those leads come in, they go straight into our CRM and notify the acquisitions manager. He calls them, qualifies them over the phone, sets the appointment, goes to the appointment, gets the contract. Once he's got a contract, he passes it off to me. I line up the private lender and get it to close, make sure that the seller signs what they need to, which is some of the TC stuff that the VA could help me with.
Yep.
And then once it's closed, I pass it off to my dad, who then meets the contractor out there, and they talk about what needs to be done and what the budget is. And then contractor gets it done. My dad makes sure that all the work is done. There's no punch list items left. The property's been cleaned. And once it's fully ready, he lets me know once it's ready for photos. And then I reach out to the realtor, who will then schedule the photos and get it listed. So a lot of times I don't even see the properties that we buy anymore.
Perfect.
And, it's because I have people that I can trust, and not only on the front end on the purchase, but also on the back end, finishing the rehab, making sure things are list ready. And volume wise, we're doing around 50. We may even do 60 this year.
Oh, okay.
And I'd say on average about half of my deals are sourced from wholesalers and the other half are sourced from my own marketing.
Okay.
And one reason why that hasn't changed, those percentages, as I've spent more and more money on marketing and gotten more deals myself, is because more and more wholesalers keep coming to me. And part of the reason for that is the level of volume that I've been doing. You know, if you want to reference back to the snowball effect of things, because I have done as many flips as I have over the years, when wholesalers that are out of state get some random one-off deal in our area, they're going to go on places like Investor Lift or PropStream, places like that, to try to find real cash buyers. And if you're a real cash buyer and you've been doing a lot of transactions, those softwares, they read all that public data and they will give you a certain score or number of points based off of how many deals you've done in a certain number of time. And they will recommend you as one of the potential top cash buyers in a particular area.
Nice.
And so just because of the work that I've done over the last few years, that's now helping me get more deals from random wholesalers that I've never met before. It's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. If someone's wanting to get into the business and start doing stuff and, you know, what you're doing, what kind of advice or what kind of tips would you give them to, you know, as you're getting started?
Yeah, for sure. I would say, you know, first of all, don't get stuck in just consuming education. Like, you need to learn what you're doing, but the most important thing is that you take action. It's fine if you don't know what you're doing completely initially. The second thing is definitely make sure that at least your first property or two, you take somebody with you to look at it that has some experience, whether it's an experienced flipper or a contractor or a home inspector. You know, because a lot of times when we're buying these off market direct to seller, part of our great offer is we're not going to send a home inspector or a septic inspector or a termite inspector. We're going to take on all those risks.
Right.
You know, so if that's the model that you're choosing to do, you're offering that type of ease to these sellers, then you really need to make sure you know what you're looking at, or else you could think a property only needs $20,000 worth of work, but somebody else with experience could have easily told you it's going to need 50. You know, so get somebody, whether it's a mentor or just somebody willing to help, or even if you have to offer an investor a deal, like to potentially wholesale it to them first, just for you to be able to get the experience and the education and some credibility.
Yeah.
It's worth it. Even if you had to assign a contract for no assignment fee, even if you had to do it for free, the information that you would learn and the relationship that you would make with that person would be worth infinitely more than you would ever get from that one assignment fee.
100%, man. And I think that is probably one of the biggest nuggets that I get from a lot of people is that, you know, when you guys are getting into it, find someone that's been there. They've been there. They've walked through it. They've been in your shoes. Now they're where you want to be. That's the kind of person you want to guide. So, man, I appreciate, Jason, all the info you've shared with us, man. I mean, I know a lot of our guys probably got a lot of good tips listening to this. If folks want to get a hold of you and they want to pick your brain some more, maybe they're in your market and they want to do some business with you, how do they get in touch?
Yeah, absolutely. They can find me personally on Facebook or Instagram. They can also go to my website, which is capefearcashoffer.com. That's CAPEFEAR cashoffer.com. I'm also on LinkedIn, although I don't use it very much. I also am on Bigger Pockets, even though their platform kind of sucks, to be honest. But I'm around, and if you want to see other videos from other podcasts I've been guests on, some of them dive into specific on flipping manufactured homes, really getting into the weeds. If you just search my name on YouTube, you'll find some other content there as well.
Well, and a lot of folks don't know much about mobile home flipping and manufactured flipping, and maybe that's what they want to learn. So, guys, once again, I hope you guys took some good notes. We had some great nuggets here. Jason, thank you again for your time, and I hope everybody enjoyed the show. See you on the next
Yeah,
episode.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.